on the slide is a picture of Brewery Creek when it was operating under Viceroy Resources from 1996 to 2002. And they've left a lot of infrastructure there that's going to see us benefit from it. Typical disclaimer, do your own due diligence, don't believe anything I say. We have several assets in Golden Predator. As mentioned, we have the Brewery Creek project. It's about 45 minutes from Dawson City, road accessible, infrastructure on site, and licensed to restart. We also have the Three Aces project. Three Aces project is in the southeast Yukon. It's an earlier stage project than the Brewery Creek, high-grade gold at surface, and something that will take time to develop. We also have the Yukon's first test plant. It's operating in Watson Lake, not at this temperature right now. And we have advanced into first chemical-free processing as a test, and now with an alternate to cyanide that we test with material from Three Aces. We also have the opportunity, because of the test facility, to produce some green gold that we then work with First Nation artists and make coins. So our mandate at Golden Predator changed over the past year. We were advancing Three Aces, and when the government confirmed our licenses, both quartz and water, we made a dramatic shift to advance towards production. And the reason is that we think that anybody in this sector that's going to benefit from the price of gold is going to have a path to production or be in production. That revenue potential or revenue is going to carry further exploration and further development. So it became very important for our team to focus solely on Brewery Creek. Unfortunately, that meant that we couldn't complete our program at Three Aces. So once we received that notice from the government in July, we quickly went into a very aggressive program. You may have seen news on Golden Predator recently. We put out an updated technical report. So between the indicated and the inferred, we're easily over 1 million ounces. That was due to a cutoff grade change, which is still above industry average, and the price of gold. And I'll walk through that a little bit, but it's easy to see when we add in the drilling from last year, which is 177 holes, that you're going to see Brewery Creek start to change dramatically. And it's a very exciting time for us, and I think we're timing it quite nicely with the price of gold. We also are completing a feasibility study on a restart of the heap leach operation by reprocessing the material on the pad. The previous operator ran run-of-mine and didn't get the recovery they had hoped for because they chose run-of-mine. So we'll be looking at crushing that. That study is underway. Everything I'm going to talk about is based on a successful outcome of the study. And please bear that in mind. That will be ready approximately early March, and it's well underway by Kappas Cassidy. And for those not familiar with the company, they're the heap leach experts out of Reno, and they built the ADR plant at Brewery Creek when it operated before. Market cap, $56 million, very strong shareholder base. I'm married to the chair, for full disclosure. We and Eric Sprott are the largest shareholders, along with several other key shareholders. CIBC owns about 23% of us. Albert Friedberg and McEwen Mining are also in there with Pat DiCapo. Important to talk about with the management team. I am not a mine builder. I'm smart enough to know that. So we've been focusing on enhancing our team in the last 4 or 5 months. An important person in our team is Jim Hesketh. If you're not familiar with Jim, he's operated mines in Montana, California. He actually operated the barite mine near Watson Lake in the 80s, and he's also operated in Nevada. He is an expert in restarting heap leach operations, and he successfully restarted the Briggs mine in California and did so by reprocessing the heap leach material, which is what we're doing. Mike Maslowski also has joined us. Mike was with Golden Predator previously. He was our Chief Operating Officer. He has operated mines in several countries and recently was with Teck and closed a mine for them in Idaho and has joined us. And we're in a transition now. Everything that we've been carrying as a group is now being carried by the end of this month by Mike and Jim. So Jim will focus on, and from the engineering perspective, getting the restart going, and then Mike will be the operator. Important to Golden Predator at all times is bringing the community along with us. And we believe that we uphold strong community relations and progressive relations with mutually beneficial agreements. We gained a lot of attention last year for our Elders in Residence program that we ran at the Three Aces project. And the elder that started that won a National Women's Award, which we're very pleased about. We've tried to incorporate the Elders in Residence program into Brewery Creek, and it's a different First Nation, and they have different needs. The elders at Trondagwitchen near Dawson have a great deal of support for the program that we ran at Three Aces, but we modified it at Brewery Creek. And we have elders working on site, and it's, again, proving to be a great way to make sure the community is heard and brought along with us. We also have over 50% First Nation employment at sites, and at Three Aces we're running 75% Yukon employment. So as mentioned, Brewery Creek, about 45 minutes from Dawson City. The map that you see in front of you shows the outline of the property in red. The Dawson City Airport, about halfway back to Dawson City, has now international service to Alaska and extended runway landing 737s. So we have wonderful infrastructure in place and a great community where we hope many people will live. We recently added a 49-person camp to site, so we can house 70 people. We hope that's the most we ever have housed at site. We're licensed for 120. But we would like to see people live in the community, and it is a very nice place to live. So as mentioned, most of this, past producer, it was successfully temporarily reclaimed, and with the new resource, I think we're in a really interesting spot for Brewery Creek. This is a map of the property. What you'll see in beige is the outline of the existing mining license. And the green show the existing pits that have licenses, and the hatched yellow are other resources that would have to be incorporated into any amendments. The blue is the heap leach pad. There's about 10 million tons on the pad, and historical estimates based on extremely good records kept by Viceroy show about 250,000 ounces on there. We believe that with crushing and reprocessing that we can recover about 50% of those. It's a three-phase process to get the operation restarted. Phase one would be to reprocess the heap leach material. About 10,000 tons a day, we expect it to take 24 to 36 months to reprocess. And you see in the green outline are cells 1 through 7, and they hold the current material. The other 3 cells, 8 through 10 in yellow, are licensed but are not built. The ponds are still on site. They are lined on the bottom, so they would have to be relined this year. And the ADR plant and the assay lab were removed, but the foundations are still there, and structurally they were tested this year, and they are actually in better shape than they were 20 years ago due to the aging curing process. So phase one, we will, as mentioned, look at with the completion of the feasibility study that's underway by Kappas Cassidy. Subject to the completion successful of the study and a production decision, it's looking like about a $35 million capex to get this back into production. And that wouldn't include placing any new material on the pad until you reprocess the heap. And this is one of the things that Jim Hesketh brings to us from his knowledge is you reprocess the pad, you crush it, you start from a very strong basis, We also have the ability to remove some waste and change the configuration on the pad to free up some space. And over time, work to extend into the currently mined licensed area and make amendments. So basically, the three phases, as we spoke of, 4 and 5 are very forward-looking and long-term, but we do see some opportunity with the project to have continued successful exploration. Phase 1 will take, like I said, up to 3 years, and then allow us to use internal revenue to move into Phase 2. Phase 2 is subject to capital, obviously, and the more capital, the quicker you start. With the $35 million CapEx, we complete Phase 1, and that allows us, as I mentioned, to internally finance the expansion. And then everything past that is going to be considered under new licensing. This is a map of the project. The geologic potential is really untapped at Brewery Creek, and I think when we receive the updated resource in April, I think we can see a growing project that I should have mentioned. What we're seeing from the first study and again in the second one coming is the pits are starting to coalesce. And so the changing of the cutoff grade is allowing us to see better economics from having larger pits instead of a series of as we call them, pitlets. I'm going to quickly move on to some other assets. Brewery Creek is our focus, but I think a lot of people know 3 ACEs, and I'd like to talk about it a little bit. We have stopped our work there until we have a good, strong team that can focus solely on Brewery Creek. But we did take a bulk sample last year, and that's about 50% processed. This is a photo of the mountain where we work at 3 ACEs. We've made a lot of progress with the drilling and figured out what some of the structures are, and it will take a lot more, both boots on the ground and drilling in order to prove up. But we did take a bulk sample. You'll see the pink diamondy shape is from 2016, where we took about 1,000 tons. We built our processing plant to keep this local and also keep the knowledge in the company. The sort of half moon shape is where we took last year's bulk sample. And we started processing it at the plant, and con number 2, as they call it, the sulfide, we shipped off to a smelter. And when we did that, we again started thinking, are there ways that we could be doing this locally and keeping the jobs here and keeping the wealth here, and also learning more about what's going on at 3 ACEs and how to advance it. And before I get into what happened with the sulfide concentrate and the start of the cyanide-free testing, one of the things that we're learning from the bulk sample that's so important is the drilling and the accuracy of the results, which really are not coalescing at all. It's such a high-grade, nuggety property that we really do need to look at a variety of different ways to advance the project beyond just simply drilling it. So we built the test plant. It's in Watson Lake. It has a capacity of 50 tons a day. It runs gravity and water only. It is in a current facility that's permitted basically as a quarry. Once we get about 83% recovery from the water and gravity, we took the sulfides and we built something that we call a secondary recovery unit. And it's SRU for short. And I'm going to show you a photo of it. We don't take too many pictures, so it's in the background here. This unit was built by the company, $150,000. You could buy something like this for about $500,000 and modify it. It had the potential to run cyanide through it, but we started working with EnviroLeach, ETI is their symbol, and they have a cyanide-free alternate technology they were using, and they were only testing it in the lab. And we knew the CEO, so we asked if we could take our sulfide and take it to the lab, and we had better results than cyanide out of the lab test. So we brought their scientists out to the site, and we ran the tests on the site, and again had the same type of results. So we started doing a 5-ton sample, and you'll see it sort of like it's a mobile plant. It's on a 20-foot trailer. It's scalable. We see opportunity from this, and we've run about 2 tons of the 5-ton material through it. Those results will be coming out shortly, but we are seeing the same type of results. And I think there's a real commercial opportunity in this. The sector has a lot of really interesting, innovative technologies going on, and we're learning more about how we can make this scalable and use it on other facilities. So I think you'll be seeing some future out of this type of technology with us. And I'll stop and talk about the mint for a minute, and then I'll sort of wrap up where we're going with the SRU. But the plant and the SRU also give us the opportunity to create green gold and create some coins. And I'd like to say this was a brilliant idea of mine, but John Rudolph of Cobalt Construction is here, and John lobbied for a long time and worked on coins. And so whenever I do this, I always like to remember that good ideas come from a lot of people working together in the Yukon. But we're on our 3rd design now, and the coins are at the booth, and I think you see a nice way of involving First Nation artists in the community in our project, just different ways that we like to do things. So our plan this year, we'll update our technical report, we'll finish our feasibility study. We have about 12 to 15 confidentiality agreements signed for financing. With a market cap of $56 million and a CapEx that's looking about $35 million, we think that we'll be in a very good position to look at debt financing. And as a large shareholder, I want to do everything I can to not dilute my stock. So we expect to see 3 or 4 deals out of this in the spring. They're all in the data room now, watching everything we're doing. And with that, we have a very busy summer and fall planned in order to work towards production. I'd like to think that we could do that by the end of this year. At the worst case, if everything comes together, it would be June next year. And we feel that that's doable, but again, subject to the outcome of the study and the financing. We'll start up at the plant again in the spring, and we'll run the SRU and do some expansion of the cyanide-free processing. And we're looking at ways to expand that opportunity and improve the SRU. And we'll keep pushing away on the coins. I think I'm going to wrap it up there. I'll take a few questions if there are any. And again, important is with Brewery Creek, we're just going to be running as hard and as fast as we can with this great opportunity that we've been given. And I thank you very much for your time. So the question was, why do we only think we'll get 50% recovery on the heap leach processing? The material already had some recovery. So basically what's left, you're getting 50% of that. You never get all of it with the cyanide, but we think, depending on the metallurgy on different sites, it gets anywhere from 70 to 75%. So estimating 50 would be about right. But we'll know more. We're running some column tests to determine crush size right now, and those will help us get a better number. But I think it's a good estimate for now. The depth of the ore varies because they were stacking it different. We're not going anywhere down near the bottom. We'll stay away from the bottom 10 meters when we reprocess. And Jim Hesketh is here in the conference as well, if anybody wanted to spend some time with him. I leave anything engineering to Jim. Thank you very much. I appreciate this. If you want to see the coins or if you want any more technical information, please come by the booth. It's just across the way. And again, enjoy the conference. And thank you to the Yukon government and the Yukon Mining Alliance for this opportunity. Thank you.